Hey there everyone, my name is Luke. This is the Outdoor Gear Review. Now today I'm heading to Lone Wolf Mountain with you all. We are going to do an overnight trip there. This is a car camp adventure. Now we are going to have a lot of fun because this is a cheap gear overnight challenge. Let's go. Now folks, I'm not going to talk much. I'm going to focus on driving, getting to Lone Wolf Mountain. We are actually very lucky that we're able to go out for this trip. 20 minutes ago, it was actually doing a little bit of freezing rain. How about that? The roads look like they're in pretty good shape, so let's head off, let's get there, and I will tell you more about this adventure. Guys, welcome to Lone Wolf Mountain. This is my paradise, and it is also your paradise for the evening. We have a lot to do in a short period of time. This trip is going to be a lot of fun. Now, as mentioned before, this is a cheap gear challenge. Not crap gear necessarily, but inexpensive gear. We are going to make it through the night, which promises lots of rain. And we may go into tomorrow as well, depending on how much rain that we actually receive. Now, speaking of the weather tonight, rain is supposed to come in around midnight, something like that. They say half an inch of rain tonight, followed by an inch of rain tomorrow. Originally, my plan was to pack up, head off in the morning, but I may leave the tent set up throughout the day tomorrow to see how well they handle all of this rain. It will be a very good test. Now, I did mention tents. My main tent for the night is an Outdoor Vitals product. This is the Dominion 2-person tent. 2.5 person tent, actually. I think that's what they refer to it as. So yes, this will be interesting. In addition to the Outdoor Vitals tent, we have this hunk of crap right here. This is the Ozark 1-person backpacking tent. This thing is a huge piece of crap. It leaks like crazy. I figured we would set it up and just watch it fill full of water. An inch and a half of rain, this thing should be a swimming pool by tomorrow afternoon. Now this gigantic thing right here is the North Star 0 degree Fahrenheit sleeping bag. Now just in case you're thinking, Walmart, absolutely. All of these brands here you can find at Walmart. Continuing on with the gear. When it comes to the sleeping pad, this is an Outdoorsman Lab sleeping pad, air mattress. Now, when it comes to my stove, I have the BRS 3000T. This is a very inexpensive Chinese stove. Oh yeah. Let's see how well she does. I even brought an inexpensive hatchet. Very good quality hatchet. This is from Prandy, and this is the German style hatchet. We may actually do some hatchet throwing later on. Now, in addition to the sleeping bag which I brought, I also brought this wool blanket, and really this is for backup purposes. I've had very poor experiences with sleeping bags from Walmart, so I didn't come out here ill prepared, just in case I'm freezing my brains out tonight when it's roughly 40 degrees. Yes, tonight it's not supposed to be very cold, roughly 40 degrees, but as I mentioned before, I've had a lot of issues with very cheap Walmart sleeping bags such as this. I've never used this product. I've actually never even heard of this brand before. I asked my wife while she was in town to stop by Walmart, grab me an inexpensive sleeping bag, and she grabbed this one here. This runs about 50 bucks, and yeah, we shall see. Who knows? This sleeping bag is described as being ultralight and ultra compact. It weighs almost 6 pounds. It's as big as a house. It really does not compress at all. I couldn't imagine taking that backpacking. You know, when it comes to the tent, this is described as well as being ultralight, ultra compact, and it is not. Again, this is almost 6 pounds. This would fill up almost your entire backpack. Those two products I never want to go backpacking with, ever. You know, I guess if you're hiking 1 mile in, that's okay, but any further, no way. Since the forecasters in my area are terrible, they're absolutely terrible, I think I will go ahead and set up the tents now just in case it starts raining nice and early. I mean, this morning we had freezing rain. They weren't calling for that. That was a complete surprise. So yeah, might as well go ahead, get prepared for the night, get prepared for the rain just in case it comes in. That means I will start with my ultralight and compact tent. Ultralight and compact. I love that. So far with this setup, I'm fairly impressed. The quality of the materials looks pretty good. I am seeing some loose threads, but that is to be expected for a tent that costs $177. Very unusual poles. I mean, check these things out. Very bright. They are definitely not DAC aluminum poles. The quality doesn't seem to be as good as DAC aluminum poles either. Well, the poles seem to be the exact same on both ends, so let's see how this goes. Now, one oddity that I've discovered is right here with this center clip. Now, as you can see, it was designed to clip onto one of these side poles, but that really doesn't make sense because it's not going to be centered. So I believe it has to be clipped on to this main pole up here. Even though because of the way that it's stitched, it's not a natural way to do it. Now that she's all set up, and I've had a good chance to really look at this tent, it's not bad for the price at all. Yes, there are a few mistakes with this tent. For one thing, there's no way to pull the flyaway against the sides of the tent, so you're not going to get good airflow from the sides. That's a big shame. There's no loops, you can't tie anything off here. You can put a stick inside of it to hold it open, but that's a bad idea if you're facing stronger winds. It could tear up the tent. Also, when it comes to attaching the fly to the pole itself, it's not a very good system at all. In fact, what you have are two strands of material which you are supposed to tie to the pole. That's pretty gimmicky. You shouldn't have to tie a knot, right? You shouldn't have to tie the fly to the body of the tent. Little strips of Velcro would work much, much better. Time to inflate the sleeping pad. That was nice and easy. If you are interested in the review for this sleeping pad, take a look on my channel. This is the Outdoorsman Lab sleeping pad. Now it's time for my very lightweight sleeping bag. Now folks, the tent has been set up. I'm pretty much ready for the night, ready for the weather, whatever may come in. Now, I did a little bit of figuring before I came out on this trip here, and the entire cost of every piece of gear here is right at $355. Now, that doesn't include the can of gas and the food and stuff like that. But for all of the gear, $355. Now, you could go out and you could easily spend $355 on a single tent from a well-known backpacking company. So $355, that's not bad for this trip. Now the purpose of this trip is not to go as cheap as possible. I mean, we could definitely go much cheaper, no doubt about it. What I wanted to focus on with this trip is a cheap gear challenge. Not the cheapest, not the most expensive, just what I believe to be good quality gear. Before you make any purchase, I recommend that you go out and you check out the reviews for each product. I looked at the reviews on this tent and they are pretty good actually. They're not bad. I did see some complaints of these not being very waterproof. We shall see. When it comes to the North Star 0 degree Fahrenheit sleeping bag, I didn't see many reviews, at least not at Walmart.com. I didn't actually have time to look anywhere else. So we shall see how well that performs. With the sleeping pad, I already know that it's pretty good. Now, later on tonight, I will show you guys the rest of the gear. But for now, let's go ahead, let's get the Ozark tent set up. I know that you all want to see how badly it fares. Now, to refresh your memory, this is the Ozark Trail one-person backpacking tent, ultra lightweight, 3 pounds. It says it is wind and weather resistant. You may remember in the review for this, I called the company asking them if I should take it backpacking, and basically the guy said was, hell no. Use it in your yard. So it's the backpacking tent that you should not take backpacking. Honestly, I was surprised at how many people had purchased this tent before I made my video. I am not surprised at how many people had this tent fail on them. Just about everybody has. So as you can see here, everyone, my favorite tent of all time is already set up. It is ready to go. It is ready to collect some serious water because this thing leaks like mad. It's pretty incredible, really. During a rainstorm, which probably dropped 1/4 of an inch, this thing filled full. I can't imagine what would happen after 1.5 inches of rain. Together, we shall find out. Before we start having some major fun, let's get energized. Let's have some coffee. Now, we are trying out a number of new things here. First off, as mentioned before, we have the BRS 3000T stove. Now, a viewer sent this in. Thank you so very much. This stove runs like 13 bucks, something like that. You might be able to get it even cheaper on eBay. Very small form factor, super small. The legs lock into place just like so, then it screws on. Didn't leak any gas when I screwed it on, that's a good sign. GSI stainless steel cup. This runs like 10 bucks. It's very inexpensive, very good quality. I've used that before, of course. Now this here is something new. What we have is pressed concentrated coffee. This makes 16 cups of coffee right here. Well, let's see how she does. Okay. Pretty good output. It's no Pocket Rocket 2, but it's not doing a bad job at all. There is turkey poop all over this mountain. I mean, it is everywhere. I'm pretty impressed with this little stove here. That was pretty quick. It did a good job. No issues when it comes to quality so far. Now, my daughter, she's actually used this before. She said it's awesome. She took it out backpacking herself. Oh. Well, so much for measuring it out. Kind of forgot about that part. Let's give it a little bit more kick. I squeezed in enough to equate to probably 3 or 4 cups of coffee. Oops. I guess I better get ready to bounce off the walls. What do you guys think? Hot, 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 hot. Cheers, everyone. Cheers. It's interesting. It tastes like caramel. It's not bad. It's a very subtle flavor. Guys, it's not terrible. Not terrible at all. I wish I had a little bit of cream to throw in there, though. Some half and half. That would make my day. I should have brought some. I guess it's my fault that I don't have any. Now, since I'm having some coffee, we might as well get ready for the next stage of our trip. And that involves some target practice with one of my favorite rifles. I will be right back. All right. Now, you guys have actually seen this rifle in a previous overnight adventure. Was it testing grounds? Or maybe it was a bushcraft trip, actually, now that I think about it. So right here is the rifle. This is the Savage Mark II 22. Takes a magazine. This thing is a ton of fun. Get a dash of coffee here. Cheers, my friends. Cheers. That's not bad. I think I like Taster's Nasty better. It puts more hair on your face than this stuff here. This puts hair on your knuckles, not on your face where I like it. So this right here is our rifle. I have the bipod. I have a Nikon scope on it. This thing is a ton of fun to shoot. You know, it's pretty darn accurate for a 22 rifle. Bolt action, of course. You have a 10-round magazine. You can overfill it. Don't, because it won't run. You know, I've had this for bloody forever, for a long time. I have had issues with it, namely fail to extract issues, but I was able to correct those and fix those myself, luckily. In the future, I will have an episode of Moose and Guns where I will go over exactly what that issue was and how I corrected it. That way I'm not saying it in this video and in that one as well. For my family and I, when we go out backpacking, namely car camping here at Lone Wolf Mountain, one of our favorite things to do is some shooting, right? Doing some target practicing. This gun right here is a family favorite. It runs good. It'll pretty much shoot any ammo. The rifle itself is very budget friendly. I believe I paid less than $200 for this rifle many years ago. I ended up buying this from Walmart. I saw it in the case and I thought it was interesting enough to purchase it. And I'm glad I did, because it's a great gun. Now, once I finish up with my coffee here, we'll back off to 100 yards, and we will slap some steel. There's the magazine for this little thing. Magazine. Just like so. This is a 10-rounder. You can get 5-rounders for this gun. The 5-rounders are notorious for having issues. I don't recommend them. Now, originally, when this idea came to me for the cheap gear challenge, I was thinking of doing a backpacking trip. But that changed as soon as the gear came in because it's so heavy, so big. I'm not going to carry all of that weight. Some people definitely can, but no, I'm not going to. I figured we would come out here to Lone Wolf Mountain, we will have some fun, we'll do some target practicing, we'll do some hatchet throwing, get a nice, good, big, warm fire going. It's been a long time since I've been able to sit around a warm fire and I can't wait. I'm stoked. I'm going to finish that up, and I will bring you all back when it's time to do some shooting. All right, so here we are, 100 yards away. It is time to do some shooting. Now, folks, before I begin, I want to talk to namely the kids who watch the channel, the young adults. Folks, you have to be so incredibly careful when it comes to a firearm. Just because you see me doing this here in this video doesn't mean that you should go play with your parents' guns. I really do want to stress that. These guns are very dangerous, and I really want to make sure that you guys understand that. With my children, as they were growing up, I never even allowed them to run around in a house and pretend like they had a gun in their hand. And that's because I wanted to raise them with the respect of the firearm. It's not a toy, it's not a game. You know, being able to handle one of these is one of the greatest responsibilities that we have. It's one of our greatest freedoms. So, to the kids who watch the channel, be careful. Do not touch them unless you have your parents' permission and supervision. So with that being said, let's have some fun. Now, I am going to pop in my earplugs. I always use hearing protection. Yes, it's a 22. You really don't need it. It's not super loud, but it's a good practice to follow. All right, let's see if I can draw a circle. Oh, that's so much fun. That is so much fun. That is so pleasing. Plink, plink, plink. I'm not surprised at all, but it is in fact starting to rain. Sprinkling just a little bit. That sounds about right. It really does. Yes, the forecast wasn't for rain to come in until like after midnight, something like that, but I'm not surprised. All right. Let's play the four corners game, shall we? I forgot just how dialed in this rifle is. I mean, it's pretty much right on. It shoots as good as I could shoot anyways. Now, one thing that I like to do is to set up tiny targets, such as these right here. Use shotgun shells. I like to shoot them off. Makes for fun targets. As you all can see on the left, I have 3 shotgun shells. On the right, I have 1 above the plate. I also put up a couple blocks of wood. Let's have at it. Alright folks, let's start with the shotgun shell on the right. Woo yeah! Now let's go to the piece of wood to the left. Next one. Let's go to the shotgun shells. Oh yeah! There we go. One more. Alright, 10 more shots and I'm done. I believe it's time to get a fire going, maybe a snack first. We shall see. Now, since you all have seen the Savage Mark II in action, let me ask you all this. Does anybody happen to own this rifle? And if you do, what issues have you had with it? I'm curious if it's the same issues that I've had. It is time for a snack. Now, I have a product here from Poland. This was sent in by a viewer, and this is some special village pate. Water, pork liver, pork fat, pork meat, eggs, on and on and on. Smells like like Spam or even tuna, actually. Let's see how it is. It's too early for dinner, but I'm hungry, you know? It's awesome. That is good. While I have a snack, might as well chop up some wood with our German style hatchet. Dang, that is good. Thank you so much, my friend. This is awesome. I love eating foods from all around the world, and that's possible because of you all. Thank you so much. For the last couple of months, it's been nothing but snow. Well, starting in the last week or so, we've had nothing but rain. So everything's pretty wet. That's why I'm using the hatchet. I want to get to the center of these logs to get that dry wood for our fire later on tonight. Now, I do have this sack right here. This is a deer corn sack. I will walk around the property, picking up some limbs, stuff it inside of this sack, carry it back to my campsite. When you're using a hatchet, it's always best to use it while you're on your knees, but there are times when you need to stand up to do your swinging, like now. If that's the case, you really have to control your blade. Patience is key. Take your time. Anytime that you rush in the wilderness, you will be punished for it. Now, as you can see there, I'm taking my time. I'm not swinging very hard. I don't want a piece to come back and hit me in the face. I'll tell you, this weather is just all over the place. One second the clouds roll in, the next second it's raining, now it's kind of sprinkling. I mean, it's all over the place, for real. I think we will have to ask Carrot, what's the weather? What do you guys think? That's the foul-mouthed weather app that I have on my phone. Let's see what it has to say.
That cloud looks like Rush Limbaugh popping a bottle full of pills.
God. That's funny. On the Outdoor Gear Review Facebook page, I asked you all if you had any questions about inexpensive budget gear, and it looks like there are plenty of questions. Dieter, my friend, how are you? It's good to hear from you. What is the cheapest knife that you own, and would I carry it and count on it for bushcraft? Keep up the good work. You know, I have a ton of knives, and I'm sure that I have some that are cheaper than Mora knives. But I can't really think of anything at the moment. Mora knives are exceptionally inexpensive, and the quality is fantastic. And I would rely on them for bushcraft use. I mean, I have for most of my life. They're fantastic blades. I mean, very good quality all in all. Okay, I have a quick question from Rassie. I don't know if I'm saying that right. R-A-S-S-I-E. Sorry if I messed that up. Let's see, a cheap sleeping mat or inflatable mattress. Now, there are big differences between those two. A mat is typically closed-cell foam, usually uncomfortable. I mean, you could sleep on it, it's better than the ground, but usually uncomfortable. Air mattresses give you that cushion, you know? You usually sleep pretty good, but they tend to be colder than mats. So I really don't know what you're looking for. I mean, you could get a good mat really cheap, and you can get one with a high R value, thermarest, and so on. When it comes to air mats, they begin to get expensive. The Outdoorsman Lab pad that I have is pretty good. It's one of those products which you will see with lots of like Chinese companies and so on. It's a very inexpensive mat to make. Yeah, so far the quality's been pretty good on that one. No issues to report. Good start. Brr, guys and gals, it is starting to get cold, and that's because the sun's going down. I didn't realize what time it is, but it's almost 6 o'clock, so it will be dark very soon. Might as well get a fire going now. I'm going to use trioxane, military surplus. You guys have seen this a billion times on my channel. I love this stuff. It's super inexpensive on eBay. You could buy lots of it. I mean, like 160 bars, you know, for 20, 30 bucks, whatever it is. I don't know. I have enough of this stuff to last me literally the rest of my life. Oh yes, here we go. Feels good to sit down right next to this fire. Oh my God, this feels so awesome. It's time to get warm because it's getting chilly. It's in the 30s now, probably 38 degrees, something like that. Not terribly cold, but definitely chilly, especially with all the humidity. It is kind of raining again. That dampness really adds to the cold. Tonight, for dinner, I have something special. This comes from a viewer, and this is also from Poland. Hunter's pork stew. I will be heating up my stew in this right here. And this comes from the Czech Republic. This is the Czech Military Surplus Cook Kit. I really like this. This thing is neat. So you can see what it is. Frying pan lid, medium size pot. I think this medium size pot will work perfectly with our dinner. Let's see what this looks like, shall we? So check that out. When it comes to smells, it's awesome. Well, folks, it looks good. Looks really good. And there's a ton of it too. I tell you folks, that is some obnoxious wood. You know, I'm not even sure exactly what type of tree this is. Like, back in the 40s, my grandfather planted 2 ornamental fir-like trees on both sides of the house, right? Now, since 43, those things have been growing. And now they're skyscrapers. They're like 40 foot tall. They are taller than these trees were ever meant to get. And so last winter, a big chunk broke off, and this is what we are burning. I have no idea what type of tree it is. I'm clueless. Nobody really seems to know. It is definitely something from the past. While I'm waiting on dinner to warm up, let's see here. Let's answer some questions real quick for you. Long Overdue Adventures has the question, any real life heroes? And my friend, I definitely have some real life heroes. First off, my father, he is definitely a hero in my eyes. He is the perfect example in my mind of what a man is, you know, or what a man should be. When I was a kid, he worked his hands to the bone every single day. You know, I don't remember my dad ever taking a day off. He went out, he worked hard, he does construction, and even to this day, he's the hardest working man I know. Being able to grow up with that type of role model, I believe has led me to where I am today. And if it wasn't for him, I definitely would not be here, you know? In my mind, you really don't have to do anything extraordinary to be a hero. You just have to be a good person. This day and age, we live in a very weird world. And, you know, people are weird. The world's weird. The culture in our country is going in a very weird direction. I mean, if you could be a stand-up individual and try to do some good in the world, you're a hero in my book. Now, when it comes to celebrities and stuff like that, I really don't care. That stuff doesn't impress me at all. Sports doesn't really impress me. Now, with that being said, I have to say that I am a boxing fan. I enjoy to box. I also like watching boxing. Every Friday night, my father, my brother, and of course my son, we all get together and we watch a boxing match. We've been doing that for years. It's a ton of fun. I have to say that out of all the boxers that I've seen, the 2 who have impressed me the most, Mickey Ward, Arturo Gatti, their trilogy is unreal. It's absolutely unreal. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Those 2 guys have more guts, more heart of anybody I've ever seen. It's truly amazing. You know, the thing is, you don't have to win to be a winner. You just have to give it all you got. And that makes all the difference in the entire world. Now, with that being said, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. There's only one first place. Not everybody deserves a trophy. You know what I mean? Steaming hot, ready to go. First bites for you all. How was it? Oh, man. That is so different. That is so different and delicious. Take a look at that, guys. The sauerkraut, the pork. It is awesome. Thank you so much for sending this to me. You know who you are. Warm fire, warm food, good company. Life is pretty sweet. I'll tell you what, folks, I'm going to put that down for a second. I'm going to tell you guys a story, and then I'm really going to dig in, because I can tell as soon as I really get started, I'm not going to want to talk much. So I have a story to share with all of you. Just in case you're wondering, where's the Forerunner? It's actually right here. When I was chopping the wood, it was raining some, so I brought this down to protect the camera. That's the only way that I could actually film some of that stuff, because it has been raining off and on all day. Okay, so when it comes to stories, I have a story to share with you all. I don't know if I've shared this before. If I have, there's likely more details in it than what I shared previously. Sorry guys, I just don't remember. Now everyone, let's go back in time to around the year 2000, something like that. My friends and I, we decided that we are going to go down to Daytona, Florida for a week-long trip, sort of a vacation, right? And there was quite a few of us. There was myself, my brother, there was Drew, Neil, Jesse, there was Aaron, there was Chad, and there was Nathan. There was 8 of us. So we get started on our adventure from North Carolina. We're heading on down. We get into South Carolina. And, I mean, it's late, right? I would say it's probably like 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. We decide that we are going to stop and eat. It's an IHOP on the side of the road. We pull in. Our judgment should have been better because the windows in this IHOP had like bullet holes in them. The window was actually like taped together, you know, with like duct tape. I don't know why we went in, but we did. So we go inside, we place our order. The place is pretty busy, you know, for that time of night. So we finish up our meal. It's time to pay. I look over, and my buddy Drew already has his wallet out. He has this stack of cash in his hand. I'm sure most of it was ones, but still. He had this gigantic pile of money, and he is just counting it out. You know, I don't know how much he had, probably a couple $100, but that was the wrong place to be counting money. It was a very poor city, town, whatever it was. There wasn't a single person talking in the entire restaurant. Everybody was staring at Drew. I'm not kidding, the entire place. I remember my buddy Jesse, he's like, "You idiot, put that away," you know? It was funny. It was dumb to eat there. It was dumb for Drew to pull out his cash and start counting it like that. The only reason we were able to get out of there without getting mugged or murdered was the fact that there was a cop car in the parking lot with 2 guys in it. Gosh, we were stupid. We were stupid. So, fast forward, we make it down to Daytona. Since we were so young, we really didn't have any money. So the only way that we were able to afford this trip was that we stayed at this campground. We rented like a little log cabin sort of thing. An example of good memories from that trip. I was taking a shower in this community shower sort of thing. Like it was divided into stalls. And I hear like crack. It was a stink bomb. Oh my gosh, did it stink in there? Like that shower had like poor ventilation or something, and it literally smelled like rotten eggs the entire week that we were there from one stink bomb. The maintenance guy who patrolled that place, I think he hated our guts. Then of course we had the people who were staying in the cabin next to us. We pretty much just partied with them the whole time. One super embarrassing moment. I was stupid. So stupid. Okay, so we decided to go to the beach, right? We go out, we swim, we have a great time, we get out of the water, and I look down, and I'm like, oh, I don't know why, but I decided to wear a pair of, like, white shorts. Well, when I hopped into the water and got out, they were absolutely see-through. It was like wearing a plastic bag, a clear plastic bag. I had to walk around, like a mile down the beach, holding my shorts away from my junk so you couldn't see through them. It was so embarrassing. Oh gosh, that was funny. One last memory from that trip. We are on our way back here to North Carolina. It's in the middle of the night. There's an accident, right? Traffic backed up for miles. We're parked with tons of other people. Well, we all just turn the vehicles off. We're hanging out outside. We're talking to people and so on. Well, there was these 2 girls from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and boy, were they special. I'm gonna say that. They got around a lot, okay? That's the nice way to put it. They got around a lot. So we're standing around, we're talking to them, and they continue to tell us, like, these stories. Just gross story after gross story about all the stuff they did at Daytona Beach. They actually were there with us. Of course, we didn't run into them or whatever, but I remember looking over at my friends. Like, they're all listening to these stories, and we were like their faces are almost green, right? I mean, it was just gross. And then I look over at my buddy Drew, and he is just lapping it up. He is loving every one of these sick, gross stories that these girls are telling us. Oh gosh. Everybody was grossed out. He was loving it. And let me tell you folks, there was nothing hot about those stories or those girls. All right guys, I've done enough talking. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to eat. It's time to eat. Time to eat. All right, everybody, it is time for bed. Man, that dinner was pretty dang amazing. It was really good. So, it's a little bit after 9 o'clock. I'm getting tired now. You can only sit around a fire by yourself for so long. Now that I'm away from the fire, I realize just how cold it is. Yeah, it's chilly, all right. Inside of the tent now, ready for bed, all brushed up, fire's out. Feeling good, ready for sleep. Well, maybe I'm ready for a movie, actually. I have a number of movies on my phone, which I may watch. I don't know. I might listen to a podcast. Who knows? So, I'm inside of this sleeping bag, and already I have a problem with the zipper. It gets stuck like mad, but so far I haven't been able to actually zip it up all the way. After about 5 minutes, I stopped. I was like, okay, I'm going to finish up with the filming and then go back to it. Just got inside, so I really can't comment on how warm it is yet. It's pretty darn spacious. I will bring you all back if anything interesting happens. Otherwise, I'm going to bed. I will see you guys in the morning. Good night. Alright guys, as an update, it is a little bit after 10 o'clock and I am absolutely freezing inside of this sleeping bag. It is definitely not warm enough. You know, it's only like 38 degrees or something, and I'm cold. I'm about to go get the wool blanket to add to this sleeping bag. I mean, as the temperature goes down tonight, there's no way that this sleeping bag here can keep me warm enough, so I need the blanket. I've got to add it. It's bad when a sleeping bag that weighs 6 pounds won't keep you warm when it's 40 degrees. Oh, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Oh, gosh. Whew. Alright, well, folks, I'm dry, yeah. I am not warm. The only way I've been able to make it through the night is by basically curling up into the fetal position. I have this wool blanket, I have this sleeping bag, and I've survived, but I've not been warm at all. This sleeping bag sucks. It started raining like around, I don't know, 10 o'clock or something. It rained for a good hour, and then it pretty much stopped until maybe like 4 o'clock in the morning. I think my plan is to get the stove fired up, have some coffee, make some breakfast, and then I'm going to go home. I'm going to leave this tent and the other tent set up though, and I'm going to come back later in the afternoon to check on them. Essentially, this will be like the ultimate waterproof test. For a backpacking tent, this tent should be able to handle that with no problems. I'm pretty sure the lens is fogged up. Really can't help that with all this humidity. Firing up the stove now. I have to say that I really like this thing. This thing is ultra light, and it seems like it does a pretty good job so far. You know, with the Cheap Gear Challenge, I think I'm going to make this a new series. And I'm going to get you all to help me select the gear that we use for these adventures. Many of these products here have come by recommendations from you all, so thank you very much. Keep them coming. Make sure to comment down below. Share your thoughts on the best and the worst inexpensive budget gear. Ah, freaking spider. So let's rehash everything real quick. The tent so far has done an amazing job. It's heavy like a 4-season tent. I mean, you could take this backpacking, but it would be very heavy. It would take up a ton of space inside of your backpack. The sleeping bag was a complete failure. It failed in every single way. I was freezing cold all night long. Even with all of my clothes on and a wool blanket, I was still cold. The sleeping pad, that did a good job. That's the Outdoorsman Lab sleeping pad, did good. The stove is awesome, in my opinion. I really like this thing. It's very, very inexpensive, but the quality is very good so far. So far. After being pretty much cold all night long, that feels pretty darn good. Put in some of our magical juice, which I definitely put too much in. Oh well. My friends, cheers to you on this cold, rainy morning. Oh, that's good. That is good. And it is good. Oh man. Oh. That is fantastic. I do want to say a big thank you to all of the viewers who have helped out with this episode. The food, some of the gear, you guys are appreciated. Backcountry Cuisine. Cooked breakfast. That is from New Zealand. You know, folks, this tent has a lot going for it. For less than $200, you're getting a huge tent. It's very tall, very high. I'm sitting up 100%, and my head isn't even close to the top. There's a gear caddy up here. Some changes do need to be made. For example, the fly just lays on the sides, and that means poor air flow, as you can see with the camera. They're on their way to having a really, really good product. I'm pretty impressed with this, really. I don't want to carry it anywhere, but for a car camping tent, this is not bad. This is not bad at all. I'm going to finish up my breakfast, and then I'm going to bounce to the outs. I will be coming back. You guys are coming back. We will grab these tents. We will see how they fared after a day of rain. I cannot wait to take a look at the Ozark swimming pool. Done with breakfast, done with coffee, packed up. It is time to get out of here. Brr, it is cold. You know, because of the failure of the sleeping bag, this is probably one of the coldest nights that I've had out in a long time. Let's do this. Inside of the car, soaking wet. This has been a ton of fun. I've really enjoyed myself. With the cheap gear challenge, I could see this going in a lot of fun directions. I'm sure that we will have a ton of fun experiences together. I'm heading to the house, but we will be back in a couple of hours. That is what I do for you all. This is the Outdoor Gear Review. I make sure to test out all the products which I review honestly and thoroughly. This is a good example of that. For me, it will be a couple of hours, but for you, it will be instantaneous. I'll bring you all back soon. Alright folks, well many hours have passed. We're back here to Lone Wolf Mountain to check on our tents. So tent number 1 is the Outdoor Vitals Dominion tent. So as we can see here, it is 100% dry. Even after a full day of rain, it is dry in here. Okay, so now let's go check on the Ozark swimming pool tent. Holy crap. It is a swimming pool. Look at all that water. Yeah. With the results that we have here, I'm not surprised at all. The Outdoor Vitals tent is not bad in my opinion. Of course, more testing is needed. There are improvements to be made, that's for sure. But for 170 bucks, something like that, it's not a bad option. It's not a bad option. The Ozark tent is a swimming pool. That's one of the worst tents I've ever seen. Complete garbage, don't buy it. What do you guys think? Should we shoot that tent? That might be fun, actually. or should we give it away? It is up to you all. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys want me to do with it. That pretty much wraps up this adventure. On to the next. Make sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this series, what you would like to see next. Of course, if you're interested in supporting the channel, please do so through Patreon. You will find a link down below. Thank you, everyone, for your support, for the views, comments, and so on. Everyone, take care, strength and honor. I'll see you guys around. See ya.